Hi, this is Krista at The Secret Yarnery. Today we're making this super fast, super easy floors and windows baby blanket. It of course can be made any size at all. It doesn't have to be for a baby. And also putting on this super cute border just from yarns from your own Yarnscape that match some of the colors that are in the cake you're going to use. Of course, you're welcome to use any yarn at all. It doesn't have to be a color changing yarn. It would also be beautiful in a solid color. So let's get started. To make this awesome little blanket, I am using 3 cakes. They're called Cakes Blues from Ice Yarn. There are 3 cakes in a pack, so I'm just using 1 pack of yarn. It is 100% acrylic, 100 grams, 210 meters, size 4 worsted weight. You can use any worsted weight yarn at all for this blanket, even if it's not color changing. You could do it in a solid color, or you could change colors whenever you felt like it. But I really like this yarn and it works up like something super cute. And it's really fast and easy to do. So what you're gonna need is 1 pack of this yarn or 3 of these Cakes Blues and a crochet hook. I'm using a 6mm for this pattern, a stitch marker in case you wanna come back to your work later, and a darning needle to sew in your ends later on. So we're gonna start just by making a regular slip knot. So make a slip knot any which way that you normally do. Shrink it down and put it on your hook. Now we're going to chain 4. So just grab your yarn, turn your hook and bring it through. So that's a chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now to count your chains, you don't count the knot and you don't count what's on your hook. You just count these V's in between or just the loop on one side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever's easier for you to see. We're just going to be working into our very first chain. Push your hook in. We're just going to make a slip knot. So push your hook in. It doesn't matter if you have 1 or 2 loops on your hook. Hold the center open. So slide your finger and hold it with your thumb so the center of those stitches is open and you're touching. Grab your yarn and bring it through both loops. So that is a slip stitch that I'm holding open with my thumb and finger, and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now wrap your yarn twice. We're going to be doing treble crochets for this pattern. Go straight back into where you're holding it open, the center of that chain 4 ring. Push your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So there's our chain 4, counts as a treble crochet and our first real treble crochet, so that counts as 2. We're going to do 1 more. So wrap your yarn twice, go into the center, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2, wrap your yarn and take off 2. Now we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wrap your yarn twice again. I'm holding those loops on my hook with my finger so they don't slip around. And I'm also working over my tail. I'm holding my tail along with that ring down at the bottom. So we're going to go and make 3 more double crochets into the center of that ring, working over our tail. So hold your loops on with your finger and go into the center of that ring. Grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So there is another set of 3 treble crochets, and our corners are chain 6s. So 1 more corner, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wrap your yarn twice and into the center ring again, going over that tail. 3 more treble crochets. So we have 3 sides of our square complete. We need 1 more corner, so chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wrap your yarn twice and 3 more double crochets into the center of the ring, going over your tail. And our last corner is another chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we're going to do a slip stitch to join, and we're just going to join to the top of this chain 4. So you can count your posts up, you can see your sticks coming up straight. If you just lay your needle over top, you can see that this stitch here is going to be your first chain, or the top of the chain 4. And if you pull on it, you'll see that it makes a nice square edge. Or you can count your V's going up, whatever is easier for you. There's 1, 2, 3, and here is 4. You want to go in and get 2 loops of that stitch on the top of your hook. So you want to go underneath 2 of these stitches, or 2 of the strands of yarn. Just use your fingers to poke them onto your hook like that, and slip stitch to join. So just grab your yarn, bring it back, turn your hook, and bring it through. So there is our first round of our blanket complete. Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That counts as our first treble crochet. And now we're going to go into the stitches we already made. Underneath this loop was kind of hanging down, underneath the first loop, and into the second stitch. So we're going to make 2 treble crochets into the next 2 stitches. So wrap your yarn twice. Into the next stitch, 2 loops of that stitch on your hook. Grab your yarn and bring it back, and treble crochet. So triple takeoff. Like that. Wrap your yarn twice, and into the next stitch, 1 more treble crochet. So for this pattern, treble crochets always get another treble crochet. So that's kind of easy to keep track of. And now we're going to do 3 treble crochets into this corner space. So wrap your yarn twice, and 3 treble crochets just right into the space and around that chain. There's 1. Two, and 3. So that is the side of our square. Now we're going to chain 6 for our corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wrap your yarn twice. Hold those loops on your hook with your finger so they don't slip around. And 3 more treble crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. Now into our trebles, 1 treble crochet into each, so wrap your yarn twice, and treble crochet, 1 treble crochet into each stitch. There's 1, 2, and 3. Wrap your yarn twice, and 3 treble crochets into the corner space, just into the space and around that chain, like that. And for our corner, chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Wrap your yarn twice, and into the corner space, 3 treble crochets, just to finish off that corner. Into our treble crochets, 3 treble crochets. Our corner is 3 treble crochets, chain 6, and 3 treble crochets, 3 treble crochets into the next, and just repeat until we get back to where we joined. So this is what your square will look like when you finish your second round. And we're just going to be slip stitching to the top of the chain 4. We'll always be doing that. So we're just going to go into the very top of the chain 4. You can count your V's coming up, but I just like to count 1 over from my last actual stitch. Sometimes that V, the first V at the bottom, can be hiding, but it can't hide at the top. So I just go 1 over, right into that spot, and 2 loops of that stitch on my hook to do a slip stitch. So just push your hook in. I want 2 loops of that stitch on my hook, and slip stitch to join. So bring your yarn through, turn your hook, and bring your yarn through. So that's the end of round 2. For round 3, we chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll always be ending and starting our rounds in the same way. And now into the next 2 treble crochets, we're going to be doing 1 treble crochet into each. So wrap your yarn twice, hold them on your hook, into that next stitch, 1 treble crochet. Wrap your yarn twice and into the next stitch, 1 treble crochet. So our center is always going to go up our entire blanket. This star shape or this X is going to be everywhere all the way through our blanket. Now we're going to jump over these next 3 treble crochets. So chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and do your corner. Your corners are the same as the round below, 3 treble crochets, chain 6, and 3 treble crochets. There's my 3 treble crochets, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 3 more treble crochets into the same corner, just like that. Don't worry if your stitches aren't all evened out, they'll even out as your blanket grows. And we're going to skip the next 3 treble crochets, so chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then find your center 3. I just kind of wiggle my fingers in and catch where they are. So these 3 stitches, and you can see if you pull them like that, you'll see this stitch opening up right here. So that is the top of our first treble crochet. We're going to be working into that stitch with another treble crochet. So wrap your yarn twice and into that treble crochet, so into the 4th stitch, 1 treble crochet. Wrap your yarn twice and 1 treble crochet into the next 2 stitches. So we're doing our sets of 3 for this round. 3 treble crochets and chain 3. There's our 3 treble crochets, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 3, and build your corner. Corners are 3 treble crochets, chain 6, and 3 treble crochets. It looks like this so far. Now we're going to chain 3, skip 3, and do our 3 treble crochets, and chain 3, skip 3, corner, and just repeat this all the way along. Skipping 3, the first and last 3 of each row, building your corner and working into the center. So chain 3 and 3 treble crochets, and again just wiggle your stitches apart to see which ones line up and go into that 4th double crochet from the corner or the first of the center 3 to do your set of 3 treble crochets in the middle. Chain 3, skip 3, and do your corner. So you're going to repeat that all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we started. So I've done my chain 3, and we're going to slip stitch again to the top of that chain 4. So I'm just going to find the top of the chain 4, the next stitch over, just right there, and slip stitch to join. So push your hook in, 2 loops on your hook, bring your yarn back, turn your hook, and slip stitch to join. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now for this round, we're going to be going along doing treble crochets everywhere. So we're going to be doing a solid row again, like the second row we did. So we're putting, there's no chain 3s in this round. So every treble crochet is going to get a treble crochet. So into the next stitch, treble crochet, and the next stitch. Our chain 3 spaces are going to get 3 treble crochets right into the chain 3 space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And our treble crochets get treble crochets, so 3 treble crochets, 1 into each of the next stitches. Like that. And now our corner, so 3 treble crochets, chain 6, and 3 treble crochets. And now keep going around the same way, treble crochets into treble crochets, and chain 3 spaces get 3 treble crochets, corners, 3 treble crochet, chain 6, 3 treble crochet, all the way around, and I'll meet you when we get back to where we started. So I've worked my way back around. Everything is back to a solid row of treble crochets. I did 3 treble crochets into the space right before my join. And now we're just going to slip stitch into the very same spot, the top of the chain 4. Push your hook in, 2 loops of that stitch on your hook, and slip stitch to join. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that doesn't change for the whole pattern. That's how we're always going to be doing it. And now we're going to go back to doing our row with our chain 3s and our spaces. So this is a fast row. We did our chain 4, that counts as our first treble crochet on top of that stitch. So we need to put one on top of the next and the next. So 2 treble crochets, 1 into each of the next 2 stitches. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to skip 3 and go into the next 3. So if you just wiggle your fingers again into the row below and line them up with the 3 stitches on top, these are the 3 stitches that are going to be getting the treble crochet. So go straight into the first one and make a treble crochet. And now just check that you have skipped 3, 1, 2, 3, and you've gone into the 4th. So that is what you want it to look like. And 1 treble crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So we're just going back along building our windows. Like that, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to build our corner. Corners, 3 treble crochets, chain 6, and 3 treble crochets. So chain 3, skip 3 into the 4th, treble crochet, and 1 treble crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So it looks like that. Chain 3, skip 3, wiggle your fingers in to find make sure you're in the right stitches. 3 treble crochet into the next set of treble crochets down below. Chain 3, skip 3, 3 treble crochets into the stitches down below, and build your corners. So you're going to keep going, making windows all the way around, and then the following round is going to be solid treble crochets. So you're going back to making a nice wall, and then alternating between making windows and walls, windows and walls, windows and walls, all the way up until your blanket is the size you want it to be, or it gets a little wonky. Now you might get to a spot in your blanket where if you make it go all smooth, it feels like your corners are starting to whoop out. There's too many stitches in your corners. So I'm just going to show you how to fix that if it bothers you. Another way you can kind of see that it's happening, if you fold up your blanket starting with the center nicely lined up and it's laying flat on top of each other, you can see that this bottom edge, the seam in half, is not straight across. We're getting extra stitches. So I'm just going to show you how to fix that. And why I don't suggest starting that way is it's just easier to start knowing the pattern. And then if it starts going like this, I'll show you how to fix it. It's super easy. And once you're already this far in your blanket, you can totally manage doing it. You also can fix it before I did. You can start this sooner. We're going to fix it on the solid round. So all you're going to do is when you get to your corners, for the solid round only, we are just going to do 2 treble crochets instead of 3. So there's 1 and 2. Still do your normal chain 6. That doesn't have to change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6, and 2 treble crochets into the other side. You can see it a little bit, but it's not super obvious, and no one's really going to notice at all how you altered your pattern. So that is how you're going to do this row. When you do the next row, your windows are the same. You're still going to put your 3 treble crochets and chain 6 into the corners, but for your solid row, you're just going to skip a treble crochet, 1 on each side of your corner, and that'll help your blanket not wonk out. So I hope that helps. And we'll see you when your blanket is as big as you want it to be, or you have run out of yarn. When you finished your 3 balls of yarn, I didn't have enough to finish my last row, and you do want to end on a floor row or the solid treble crochets. You don't want to end with windows, you want to end with a solid row. So I just started with the yarn I had and kept going until it finished. And then I just joined to another color that was similar and kept going. So I just finished the row with yellow going like halfway around the blanket. It's your choice if you want to substitute a yarn to finish your row, or if you want to stop when you have enough of the exact same yarn to finish and end on a solid row. So I slip stitched to join, and now just chain 1, cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down to secure. Now to start your border, I'm going to be starting with the white. So this is just Savor 100. We're not going to start in the same spot. Pick a different corner, and we're also going to turn our work. I want to be working into the back of the blanket, and for the border we're going to be flipping our rows or turning our work at the end of each row. That is going to keep our border laying flat and not curling up. Pick a corner, and we're just going to go straight into the top of this first treble crochet, so just right into that dimple. If you put your hook in and flip it up, you'll see 2 loops of that stitch on your hook. That is what you want. So put your hook in, loop of yarn on your hook, bring your yarn through, slip stitch with both strands to join, and drop your tail. And chain 2, 1 and 2. If you joined your yarn in a different way, you're going to want to do a chain 3. Skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2. We're going to be working into the third. 1 single crochet. So push your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it back, wrap your yarn and take off 2. That's a single crochet. Chain 2, 1 and 2. Skip 2, 1 and 2. Into the third, single crochet. Chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, 1, 2, into the third, single crochet. So keep going, making these little single crochets with a chain 2 in between, all the way along your row, and I'll meet you when you get to the corner. When you reach the corner, do your same chain 2. You also wanted to have ended your last row with the full 3 double crochets into each corner space. Don't do a decrease for your last row of your blanket. So single crochet, chain 2. Now we're going to go straight into the corner space, and single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. We're going to do this till we have 4 single crochets in our corner. So there's 2, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into the corner space like that. So we have an increase, and our new corner. So 4 single crochets with a chain 2 in between, all into the corner space. Chain 2, and now after the corner we're going to skip 3. We're just going to jump straight over and single crochet into the first double crochet of our continuing set. So after the corner, skip 3, 1, 2, 3, and into the first double crochet that's into a stitch, single crochet. That one will be a bit different, but it'll work out later. Don't worry about it. Chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet into the first treble crochet that's into the space. So that's how we're just evening it out. We're doing the same thing all the way around, and whatever we need to kind of adjust, we do it right at our corner. So keep going like this, and I'll meet you when you get back to where we started. Just finish off your corner like you always have been, 4 single crochets with the chain 2 in between. And don't worry about your blanket kind of curling up and looking like you don't have enough stitches. That's fine. We want it to be tight. That's going to hold our blanket in shape as we do our border. So after your last single crochet, we are just going to slip stitch straight into the center of that stitch where we joined our yarn. So I'm just going to slip stitch right down into the center of that stitch, grab my yarn and bring it back. I'm pulling on my yarn. I want it to be a tight slip stitch, and bring my yarn through. Chain 1, turn your work, and slip stitch way over into this next chain 2 spot. So we're going to join all this up as our single crochet. So right into the next chain 2 spot, slip stitch, and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1 double crochet into that spot. So wrap your yarn once, go in, grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. That is your first double crochet. 1 into the stitch. So just stretch it out. You'll see in between those legs of that single crochet. Go in, grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So there's another double crochet. So your chain counts as a double crochet. So 2 into the space, 1 into the stitch. And now we're at our new corner. Corners are 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, all into the space. Chain 2, 1, 2, and 2 more double crochets into that same spot. Just that space, the center space. So there is our new corner. 1 into the stitch, so double crochet into the stitch. And 2 double crochets into the space. So we're going to keep doing this all the way along. 1 double crochet into the stitch, 2 into the space, and corners are 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 2 double crochets. So keep going like that, and I'll meet you when you get back to the join. So when you reach your way around, I've done my 2 double crochets into the last chain 2 space, and now we kind of have this interesting bit from where we joined. So wrap your yarn and just push into that single crochet, making 1 double crochet. And now we are going to slip stitch to join. So top of the chain 3, just right over there. We want to make sure we have 2 loops of that chain on our hook. Put our hook in, bring your yarn back, turn your hook, bring it through. There's our slip stitch. Chain 1 to secure, and cut your yarn. Pull your hook up and your yarn through, and snug that down. For the next round, we want to be flipping our work. We want to be working into the back of our last round. So we have our macaronis facing up. Put your hook into a corner spot. Loop of yarn on your hook. You want to leave a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Bring your yarn through and slip stitch with both strands to join. Drop your tail, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Wrap your yarn twice. We're going to skip 4 stitches. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go into the 5th. Just right there, 2 loops of that stitch on our hook. So hold those loops on your hook with your finger and go into the 5th stitch. Make 3 treble crochets. There's our first one. Second. And third. Chain 2, 1, 2. Wrap your yarn twice, skip 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the 5th, 3 treble crochets. So we're going to keep doing this all the way along this row, doing 3 treble crochets, chain 2, skip 4, 3 treble crochets, all the way along the edge of our blanket, and I'll meet you at the next corner. So keep going like this all the way along the edge of your blanket, and I'll meet you at the corner. When you get close to the corner, it might not line up exactly. So wherever your 5th stitch is, just go ahead and do what we always do. So my 5th is 1 right before my corner. I'm just gonna go and make my 3 like I normally would. If yours is in a different spot, do not worry about it. Chain 2, and now into the corner, we're going to do a bigger shell. We're going to do 5 treble crochets into the corner, just into the corner space. So there's our 5 treble crochets into the corner space, and now we just want to do the exact same thing on the other side of the corner. So whatever we did before the corner, we want to mirror it on the other side. So I'm going to do my chain 2, and I'm going to skip 1 and do my shell into the 2nd stitch, just so it matches. Both sides of the corner match. So I'm going to start my next side right here with my 3 treble crochets. So So that is what my corner looks like. Now I'm going to keep going down the next side, doing my 3 treble crochets, chain 2, skip 4, all the way down this side, and I'll see you at the next corner. My next corner lines up, so if I skip 4, I end up right in the corner spot, so go ahead and do that. If you have a corner where your 5th stitch is right at the corner, I would skip it and go straight into that corner space. So jump straight into the corner if yours lines up the same as mine did, and 5 treble crochets, chain 2. And we always want to do what we did on the first side of our corner. So we just did a straight skip 4 and shell into the 5th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So straight into the 5th, start your first shell of 3 treble crochets. So keep going like that all the way around until you get to where we started. So back where I joined, I only have 3 stitches left on the one side, so I'm just gonna go with it. 1, 2, there's my chain 2, and I'm gonna do my shell into the corner spot. And our chain we started out with is gonna count as our last treble, so I'm gonna do 4 treble crochets into that corner space. There's 4 treble crochets. So we're going to slip stitch to the top of what would be our treble crochet. So because I joined my yarn in this slip stitch fashion, I count that as my first stitch or my first chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or you can count back from the top, which is what I actually do. This is my last treble crochet. So 1, 2, into the 3rd one over. I'm going to go right into that chain, and that's going to pull it up like a treble crochet. So push your hook in. You want 2 strands of that stitch on the top of your hook, and slip stitch to join. That has finished up our corner or round, and chain 1 to secure your work. Cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail to sew in with a needle later. Pull your hook up and your yarn through and snug that down to secure. So don't worry totally if your stitches don't work out, because for our next round, all of our stitches, now our blanket's totally even, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. Pick a new corner to start on where you haven't joined your yarn before. And now we're working into the pretty side of our blanket and the back side of the row we just did. So into the center treble crochet, just into this stitch right there. Put your hook in, we're going to join our yarn. So loop of yarn on your hook, bring it through and slip stitch with both strands to join, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. If you join your yarn in a different way, then you're going to want to do a chain 4. This is going to count as our first treble crochet, and make 2 more treble crochets into this same stitch. So that counts as 3 treble crochets. Drop your tail. And we're going to make a single crochet into this space. So just put your hook in, grab your yarn and bring it back. Wrap your yarn and take off 2. So just a single crochet to pin down that partial shell. Wrap your yarn twice and into the top of the center treble crochet, just right here, we're going to be doing shells of 5 treble crochets. And into the chain 2 space, just 1 single crochet to pin everything down. Wrap your yarn twice into the center treble crochet, just the top of that center stitch. We're going to do another shell, so 5 treble crochets. There's our 5 trebles and single crochet into the space. So keep going like this all the way along your row, doing 5 treble crochets and a single crochet into the space all the way along, and I'll meet you when you get to the corner. So into your corner shell, we're going to find the center treble crochet. So you could just wiggle your fingers, find the center one, and we are going to make 9 treble crochets into that stitch. So our corner looks like that, 9 treble crochets. And now just keep going around your blanket doing the same thing, making your sets of 5 treble crochets, single crochet, and into the corners, 9 treble crochets, single crochet, all the way around, and I'll meet you when you get to where we joined. So I've done my 9 treble crochets in my last corner. So I'll do my single crochet to pin it down, and now we have to finish off this shell here. We need a total of 5 treble crochets, and we've done our chain and 2 trebles, so we need to do 2 more into that space just to finish off that shell. So there's our 2. So now we're going to slip stitch to the top of our chain 4. So if you look at your stitches, 1, 2, it's the next one over. Right there, we're just going to go in. We need 2 loops of that chain on our hook. So push your hook in and slip stitch. Chain 1 to secure your yarn. Cut your yarn, pull your hook up and your yarn through, and that is the end of that color. Now flip your blanket over so you are working into the back of your shells. It just helps your border lay flat and not curl in one direction. And you'll see your single crochet in the center. If you kind of pull it apart, you'll see that V. We are ignoring that stitch. Every single crochet we're going to ignore. We're just going to go into the top of these real stitches, the real trebles. So put your hook into your first treble crochet of any shell. Doesn't matter where you start. Join your yarn. So put a loop of yarn on your hook, pull it through, and slip stitch with both to join. Drop your tail. We could work over it a little bit, so we could just kind of lay it along top of our work. And we're going to be going into our stitches, just these dimples here. So chain 1, that counts as our first single crochet, and 1 single crochet into each treble. So there'll be 5 single crochets per shell. There's 3, 4, and 5. Drop your tail, and we're going to jump over that single crochet. So ignore the single crochet, jump over into the first treble, and 1 single crochet into each treble. So we're going to go along our entire blanket doing this, 1 single crochet into each treble. Skip the single crochet, skip the valley, just jump right over into your next shell. So it looks like this. Just keep going, making 1 single crochet into each of the treble crochets. Ignore the single crochet in the valley, and I'll meet you when you get back to where you joined. So instead of doing a slip stitch, I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a long enough tail to use a needle, and pull my hook up and my yarn through that last single crochet. Just like that. So we're going to do an invisible join. So thread your needle, and we're just going to push our hook straight into the top of that chain, or into the center of that chain we made. Bring your yarn through. Keep an eye on where your yarn's coming from, because we have to go back into where it's coming from. So pull it over, and now back down into where it came from. And then just tighten it up so it looks like a regular size stitch. And now sew your tail in. Cut your tail, and there you go, your blanket is finished. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Love to see a picture of yours. You can tag me on Instagram at Secret Yarnery, or find us on our Facebook group, the Secret Yarnery Crochet Community. Love to see how yours worked up and what yarns you picked for your border. So thanks so much for inviting me over. We'll see you in the next video, and stay hooked.